It can do.
The mic I've got at work, it's a headset. And it's one of those ones that comes around here.
Yeah.
So it's hands-free. So I have it just like here on my
Moustache.
Moustache
Moustache
always a bit
microphone.
weird because I'm talking to a customer, and if I laugh at something, I'm really conscious that it's like over the top, like in their ear.
My problem is that I want to work, but it rubs into my beard.
Yeah, and you hear it scratching.
So you get
yeah.
yourself, and I'm like,
yeah. I like doing that thing though where they're just chatting away, and I just lift it up and have a drink of coffee and slurp really loud, get them to hurry up. Equivalent of checking your watch.
Yeah. Cool. You ready to roll this?
Let's do this. I thought we'd started.
I mean, we already have, kind of,
yeah.
essentially, but I've still got to do introductions and whatnot.
Oh, it's okay. Alright, I'll do the way then.
You don't have to. You can look at it.
No, it's right. I'll left it in the middle.
I mean, we're a minute in and already just fully distracted. I mean, obviously, already started recording and whatnot. But welcome to Yellow and Concrete Podcast, Jeanine.
Thank you for having me. Am I close enough to the microphone?
You can see her levels.
Okay, yeah.
You know how that works.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you've used this before.
I've used it before.
Yeah.
It's just weird being on this end of it, to be honest.
You have been actively avoiding it. Well, not actively avoiding it.
What, am I?
You live... No, I mean the podcast. Because I asked you to do this like 2 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah. Not to just call you out for the entire thing.
I'm just like, la la la.
No, because when I started, I said we should do one together.
That's not an invite, is it?
That's an invite.
That's not an
That's
invite.
exactly how I invite everybody else.
No. Today's was...
Any other guest would
let's
say
do a
exactly
podcast,
how
and
it
I
was.
was like, yeah, fine. No, we should do one at some point. That's not
You
a
know
plan.
when I say we should do one, it means I'm gonna
We
do
got
one.
there eventually, okay? It's 2 years later, from what you were expecting, apparently. I didn't realise you were waiting for me to turn up.
I filled in the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I sat around, just like, oh no, Janine's not coming on the podcast.
What will I do?
I feel like we need context to why we're like this.
How many years?
So I kind of got thinking about it. So in terms of people who've been on the podcast, Martin's known me the longest.
He's your brother, so...
/ Gran.
Yeah.
But obviously with Gran, there's less... I'd say there's less banter.
I was going to say banter, but she can give...
You've watched me
she
and Gran.
can, yeah.
Obviously Martin and I have the brother side of things, so we're well known. Outside of that, Brodigan, Matthew, is the next person who has known me longest out of all the guests. And there's you, but couldn't decide if I'd spoken to you first or Matt first, because we met all at the same time.
We spoke online first, if you remember. If you want to take it from that point, because there was that website for freshers to log on to and chat to people in their dorm, on their course.
I do vaguely remember.
We started talking through that first. So in terms of meeting, I don't know, could have been either one of us, I'm not sure. But I think
so you definitely spoke to me first.
I spoke to you before we started our course. Because in your profile picture, you had straight hair. And I was really confused.
I don't have straight hair.
You had straight hair in the photograph. Sorry.
Is that still recording with
Yeah, I think so. The red light's on.
Red lights.
Yeah, so I was really confused because you had black straight hair in this photograph. Don't know what girl possessed you to do that, and when I turned up, you've got this curly
What's
brown
wrong with
locks.
black straight hair? I
Because-
was gothy.
Yeah, you never had it ever again.
Well,
Every
no, because
time
I
I was
got
like,
to a
this one was
point
straight,
where
and I
I
was
was
like,
just
come on, Graham, I know you'll do it. And
I
then you
never
were all
straightened my
like,
hair. I never straightened my hair.
yeah, sure. That's what
I
someone
did.
else
No, I
did it to
guarantee
you.
I never straightened my hair. It's just how much I used to wear it down. Whereas compared to uni, I didn't wear it down that much.
No. Yes, you did. Even when you wore it down, it didn't drag to the point where it was straight. It still
No, but
had
then also
volume.
it was a MySpace photograph.
I am going to find that photograph.
It's a MySpace photograph. It's
It
posed.
was straight hair.
It's posed.
It was black. Straight
Well, it was black
hair.
because I used to dye my hair black.
It was straight.
I mean, this is black and white anyway. So for guests, this is
Oh,
all
wearing
relative.
all
isn't
this
it?
fantastic makeup then.
I know. But for context for anybody listening, if it's not obvious, me and Jeanine met in uni.
Some years ago now.
It's got to be.
So,
I'm going to say like 10, because we were like 18 when we went to uni.
yeah,
right?
look, we're
And
20.
we're 29
stupid
now.
Yeah, so it's nearly a decade.
Yeah, it's
Over a decade.
nearly a decade ago.
Yeah.
So in terms of people,
Over a decade.
yeah, and we dated for 5 years.
5 of those years,
yeah. So in terms of people who have spoke to me the most in my lifetime, bar from relatives, you're fairly high.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was concerned in, like, we may run out of content, but we still talk.
You haven't run out of words yet.
No, I haven't run out of words yet. But no, I figured it was worth providing context for guests of why we're probably so relaxed around one another, compared to other guests anyway.
Well, would you want me to be more formal?
I don't know. I assumed you were going to put on phone voice.
I can't. No, I'm not aware. No way.
Because I was trying to think back to uni when we used to film things and like all the shots and stuff, and it being strange. But you like commented on it when it was kind of like when I do it as well. If when you go on camera, your personality changes.
Yes. Yeah. It was kind of that. Oh, it's weird to explain, isn't it? Sort of like when you know you're being watched. And you want to be able to people to see the best of you, basically, so you will act a bit more professional. You'll put on that voice where everyone can understand every word that you're saying.
I feel like I mumble more.
What?
I feel like I mumble more. Fell into that. Well, no, I think there was a sketch we did with Matt where we did the In Bruges one.
Yeah, your brilliant Irish accent, yeah.
Yeah, my Irish. I didn't do the Irish accent.
You did
Matt did the Irish accent.
No,
I did the South London accent because I was at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh, it was awful. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. All right, the accent was terrible. The acting was on point.
It was fun.
The acting was
it
on
was
point.
fun.
But I remember watching that back, and I watched it, I think it was like a few months ago.
Did you watch it back?
And I remember thinking it was so strange seeing you in it. Because you can tell you're, not to be insulting, not an actress sort of thing.
Oh, I'm not insulted by that at all whatsoever.
Whereas,
that's why I like to be on the other side.
I recognised it as like very much something like you do when you're being recorded and when you're filmed. Is you change. Whereas when I used to do the vlogs and stuff, you commented that I act differently on a vlog as I do in person.
You exerted yourself. I don't mean like in terms of your voice and volume. I mean like characteristics. You were a lot more active. You were still you. You were just another level of you.
Another level of great.
Yeah.
How about? Do you think I do on podcast?
Sometimes not over the top. It's still you. It's just it's different. It's different to being in town. Graham to coming home and putting the mic on Graham.
Yeah, there's a level of difference.
Yeah.
I think I recognise it.
There'd have to be, I think.
I think I go into...
You can't be 100% on all of the time. No one can.
Oh, no. I feel like I think I go into what I'd call work mode.
Yeah.
Where your brain clicks in and goes, no, you need to socialise, you need to talk to people.
It's good to have that switch.
That disconnect.
Yeah, exactly. You need that separate life between work and home. Otherwise, I don't know, be exhausted, I think.
You could be exhausted. I don't know, it was just one of those kind of like things which kind of occurred to me because it was like, obviously it might be... So I met a guy recently outside Cubes. In the last podcast I did, I mentioned this. I did a last podcast I did. No, not the last podcast I did. The 100th podcast I did because this isn't going up till 2020. Shout out 2020. Who he ran out into me outside Cubes and he recognised me from the podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
And it was a surreal experience because he was like, oh, yeah, I listened to your podcast. And I'm like,
cool.
Oh,
you're like, what?
Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
How did you find it?
Yeah. And he mentioned that he'd like just search Lincoln podcast and stuff. And then I suddenly have this crisis of personality where I'm like, I wonder if I'm disappointing in person compared to on a podcast, because obviously doing this you talk constantly, you have to engage with the guest, whereas in person I'm quite shy.
Plus I assume you were probably drinking as well, and Cubes is quite an experience to just...
I mean, it was outside having a cigarette.
To a random... Yeah.
Wasn't that drunk.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Ooh, polite. You know.
Civil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how you'd have that. That's all of a sudden what's expected of you. What's expected?
It comes down to personality.
So what did you do in the end?
Just chatted for a bit.
Yeah.
Give him a shout out. Probably have him on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, That'd be cool.
Said to him, "Oh, you should come on the podcast," which was basically an invitation to come on the podcast.
And has he been on?
No, because it was like a week ago.
Oh, there you go.
I'm fitting you in. Tucking you into the podcast.
Okay, fine. Well, I'll look forward to that one. I think you should drink and smoke all the way through it.
I'd love to drink and smoke for a podcast. I feel like a girl. I did think about this because when I was trying to think of what to do for the 100th podcast, I was like, we should do like a party one where I get as many of the guests I
just see you in a party hat
into like the room and we just get drunk going through an hour of a podcast. But then I thought, how drunk can you get in an hour?
Pretty drunk.
I don't think I could.
I'd
have to drink so hard in that hour.
Yeah, that's true. You'd have to do less talking. You'd have to do
a shot every like few minutes.
Ugh.
You'd be struggling.
Yeah, I think more of a casual drink. Unless you drink before and then start the podcast when you're already half gone.
Yeah.
Shall we stop this now? Get a bottle of whiskey and then come back to it.
Correct. No, you're driving there.
Oh.
The tables have turned.
Damn.
From being the driver and the drivee to me being at home and you living in Leeds.
Hey, never mind.
No, I don't know. I feel like we've come through. I think in terms of like personality, we've come through a lot of changes each.
No, I think you do. It's from when you're 18 to 29, you'll go through a hell of a lot of changes. Things will change. You will evolve. It'd be weird if you were exactly the same person when you were 18. I don't think we'd be friends as much as we were if you were exactly the same.
Well, there's a question. What do you remember of me being 18?
Initial meetings.
Like initial, like first couple of weeks.
Well, very initial is in like first couple of hours. You're quiet, but you know you're quiet.
Yeah.
You're a quiet man until you get onto a subject and you know extensively about that subject, not just in terms of fact, but your opinion on things. You're always well rounded. I liked talking to you about things because I'd get this overall unbiased view of whatever it was we were talking about, be it art, photography, music, whatever. You've said this before, people can come to you and talk to you about things because you're easy to talk to about subjects like that. Anything that you're aware of, you could talk for hours.
I mean, that's essentially the whole premise of the podcast.
We're talking years ago.
So I haven't changed then by that theory.
Technically. But you have in other ways, I think.
Yeah.
You've matured.
I've matured.
Yeah.
Was I immature? I don't remember being
immature. You were not immature, but an 18-year-old compared to a 29-year-old, yeah, there's going to be some maturing there.
Maybe.
Do you not think?
I don't know, like, because this is the thing, I think, for me, personally, I think I've refined some areas, but they were areas which I wouldn't classify as mature or immature. Like it's
refining's
never
probably the word.
Like because it's like kind of like ideas. Obviously, when you're 18, or when I was 18, I was wearing criminal damage jeans and
had black nails,
wore my angst on my face. Essentially, you know, I had my cool vampire sunglasses.
Do
you remember the purple vampire sunglasses and the red ones?
They had the cool frame with the pattern on them.
Being as edgy as I could at 18.
And the hat. You had a bowl hat.
Yeah, I've still got the bowl hat.
Is it upstairs?
No, it's right there. That's now costume hat.
Wait, wearing it.
Do we need to hat?
No.
If I wear a hat, you're wearing a hat.
Fine, I'll wear a top hat.
Yeah.
Oh, your Russian hat.
You can wear the Russian.
Yeah.
For anyone on audio, this is hugely lost. But we're now wearing hats.
It's so cozy.
It suits you as well, though.
Oh, I'm doing winter right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I got thinking of you like when you were 18, and I remember you being much shyer.
I was definitely shyer.
But only with certain situations.
Yeah,
because
I didn't handle group situations.
Well, but like you lived in halls.
Yeah.
And you had like that big group of people you had in your flat,
yeah.
Whereas I was in like a smaller flat situation.
I think you only had about 4 other people with you.
Yeah, and you seemed to like really thrive in that situation, whereas I hated it.
What, do you think you would have done better in the larger group?
No, I think I'd have done better just living on my own.
Obviously.
The more I can ostracize people. Obviously, I met Bob.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bob.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Wherever he may be.
I don't know if Bob watches this.
I want him to comment on
Pour
this.
out for some of your homies,
Bob.
Or Robert, as you like
Robert,
to be called.
yes.
Robert Milson.
He's Bob.
Yeah, he's always going to be Bob. To us, he's always going to be Bob. I think this is a problem.
You can't change your name after the age.
When you've known each other this long, you just retain that nickname. You can't.
It's not even a nickname. It was what he went
He introduced
by.
himself as Bob.
Yeah.
And we called him it for 2 years, and they decided he didn't want to be called it.
It was more than 2 years. Maybe it was. Maybe we just disregarded what he said, and we were just like, no.
Anyway, back to us. But no, I feel like you dealt with social better. But then you had a bigger friend group before you came to uni. Or you seemed to.
Yeah.
Of your friends I met.
I still wasn't a loud person.
No.
Big
But
group
you
situations
were outgoing.
like that. I had to learn to be.
Yeah.
I guess in those kind of situations, that was part of the reason of going to uni, isn't it? Build your confidence, branch out a bit, learn new things about yourself, all that crap.
The self-discovery of uni and all that crap. We're not cynical people. Would you do uni again? Like, if you could go back, like ignoring
as a mature student, or
no, I mean like if you went back to 18, knowing what you know about uni life, ignoring like friends and the idea of having friends and the people you've met, because obviously you discount that because if you enjoy the people you meet. Yeah. But in terms of just the uni experience, learning about yourself, education, do you think you do it again?
Yeah. I didn't even have to think about it that much. Absolutely. If it meant moving out and throwing myself into a whole new situation, a whole new experience, yeah, I would, because the alternative would just be stagnant. I think it would have just been, what do you do after school? Get a job, go out on the weekends. That's what I do now. It's not great. Totally go to uni again and have that little bit of freedom just for a little bit.
Do you think you'd do the same course?
No. Don't know what I'd do, but I wouldn't do the same course. I'd probably do something similar.
Okay.
But no.
I don't think I would do uni again.
Do you know?
I feel like the things I picked up in uni, considering the world around us in the last 10 years or so, I think I could have learnt that solo. And I'm the kind of person who probably would have tried that stuff. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, for the friends I made and the opportunities he's given me, I'd go back for that. But in terms of the actual course and the whole uni experience, I don't feel like I got anything from it which I couldn't have got from just having a job.
Yeah, sure.
And I could have probably been further along a career ladder.
Do you think?
Well, yeah, because I would have started any job. And I find in jobs that I just...
True.
I seem to adapt to jobs quite well.
Apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Could have gone down the apprenticeship route.
Yeah.
That was an option that wasn't really pushed on me when I was at school. But I think now, if I had the opportunity, I would have totally would have done that. Best of both worlds, really, isn't it?
I don't feel like we changed much through uni. Like, by the time we finished uni.
I think I did.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think you did.
Yeah? I don't really recall it that much. I feel like when we left uni, like there was obvious differences, like interests and tastes and directions and stuff like that. But I don't feel like we altered too much on path.
No, I'm not saying you came out with a completely different personality.
I went in loud and came out quiet. No, I don't know. I feel like we changed more in the years after uni.
Yeah.
Like in the development years following uni. I feel like they affected us more than those 3 years.
Yes, because it was the real world.
Yeah.
It was, I need a job.
Yes.
There's nothing here. Great.
Well, we had the beauty of coming out in a recession, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had the double recession.
We had a double recession.
Which was
we still worked. We still managed to find work. It was just what it was.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like as people we developed to full adults during that time. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
Because I think there's that impression that when you finish uni, you're
still growing up at that age. So 21's not that old. It's still very young. 22 is still very young. You do a lot of growing, I think, in your mid-20s.
Yeah.
And by this point, it's probably supposed to be responsible and all that, but...
I don't know. I feel like we're both capping 30. I'm 30 already by this point of the video going up. You're 30.
Old.
You're 30 in 6 months.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
As of this video.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like it's a barrier, but at the same time I know people who are like nearly 40.
It doesn't matter, I think, after a point, it really doesn't.
Do you think you'd have done more or developed or changed as a person if we hadn't got together after uni?
Interesting.
Because like, that's the difference for us as well. Like, I mean, we met in uni, but then we got together after uni. Yeah. Whereas we know people who got together in uni, stayed together, and people who didn't do any of that, and then met someone way after uni. And I think, I don't know, I look at their lives and I feel like when you get into a relationship, that encapsulates your personality for a time period.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you stay as that person for a while because you're together and those are the personalities which came together.
You're in that bubble. Yeah. It's a bubble.
And then as soon as that stops, I feel like, because like the years since we've been together, I feel like we've both developed even further. Do you think like, yeah, I mean, would you see that as like a relationship constraining personality?
There's a lot more to it than I think than just the relationship. I also think environment and everything else going in your life plays into that as well. It totally depends on the situation, I think. Yeah. Depends where you are, who you're with. I mean, say for example, if we had got together but hadn't lived together, it would have been a hell of a lot different, wouldn't it? Would have been tough.
But I still think even if we hadn't lived together, I feel like when you're in a relationship, there is a level of maintaining what you are.
The expectation of what that person has of you.
Yeah. Because whether you want it to or not, as open as a relationship can be and as independent as each person can be, I feel like you have that perception of pleasing the other person, and that person fell for one personality. So to change that is to change the dynamic of a relationship. Which some relationships survive and some don't. Yeah. That's just personalities for you. But I feel like it does introduce a little barrier to personal development in a way.
I suppose so. I guess it could be argued age as well plays a lot into that. Absolutely.
We'd have been 21, 22?
22.
Yeah. So you're still in, as we say, still in fairly developmental stages.
I think so.
Yeah.
At the time, it didn't feel like it.
No.
At the time,
it felt like we were adults.
Me, doing what I want, doing this, and no one can stop me.
Wait, did you see our relationship as a rebellion?
No, not
you
so
can't
much
tell me what to do. I'm going with Graham.
Well, it was because I was at home. It was because I moved back home after uni. And then we got together and all of a sudden I was moving in with you. So I think to family it was a bit of a shock that all of a sudden I was like, hey, bye. Moving in with this guy, moving into a house where I've only got a part-time job, and it's just sort of like a bit...
I do feel like we blindsided our families.
Oh, we definitely did.
Because we'd spent like 3 years at uni together as friends, and I feel like they didn't appreciate how close we'd gotten within those 3 years. So when we turned around like 3 months later, it was like, oh yeah, I'm going to move to go and move in. But mine didn't question it. They were just like, all right. My dad was like, as long as you've got plans, like you've figured this out financially.
Yeah, right.
He was like, yeah, that's fine. You know, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's responsible, I guess. My mum was a little bit more like... My mum was a bit like, Graham!
I vividly remember during uni, there's a photograph of us in cubes.
Oh, there are many.
Yeah, but we're sat down.
Is there a particular
I'm
one?
wearing like a black blazer. It's like my suit jacket, the one with the broken buttons. Yeah. And swearing at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And with painted nails. And I remember you telling me that your mum had said that I needed to clean my nails if I was going to swear at the camera.
I don't remember.
And I remember
like
this was like happen. Second year uni, and I remember hearing that just like, who the fuck she? I'm not cleaning my nails. Also, I'm in cubes.
So you can imagine my mum's reaction when I told her that I'd be moving in with you. The dirty nail boy. She didn't say that, obviously. It went through her mind.
Watching you, Pam.
She's cool with you now.
So we're cool. We're on speaking terms.
She sends you birthday cards.
Yeah. Birthday and Christmas cards on occasion. That's all I really need. Oh.
Yeah, it was very much a case of, are you sure?
I'm learning this now. You had this whole conversation of, are you sure? Are you okay with this? Whereas my parents were like, yep.
Off you go. No, it wasn't so much a case of moving in with you, not like a personal thing. It was more a case of moving to another place again with not a lot of stability. Like I said, I went back and worked at the pub, didn't I? It was...
Yeah, I mean, I moved back to Scunthorpe at the time, didn't I?
Yeah.
And we both did that year interlude where you leave uni and you do different things.
Tried to find work.
Because I stayed in Lincoln for a bit.
You stayed in Lincoln for a bit. I went back home and lived in the attic. Like a little gremlin.
It's just because I lived in my brother's spare room. You lived in an attic.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you? Yeah, that's right.
I was there for about 6 months before I moved.
You were glass collecting at one of the clubs.
I went glass collecting and working in the kitchens.
Oh, that's right. You were a KP, weren't you?
And then moved back to Scunthorpe, and then it was whilst I was in Scunthorpe and couldn't find a job that I was like, no, I need to move back to Lincoln. And then we got together because we timed it all because it was snowing.
It was snowing.
Yeah, when we got together. Because you came up to Scunthorpe to visit me, and then we made a snow bear.
Oh, in the garden. There's a photograph.
Garden, and there's a photograph in the garden where you're like on top of a bear.
Oh yeah.
And that's when we got together. And then a few months later, we were in Lincoln. And we in this place.
It was
literally in this building.
A couple of months later, wasn't it? Because if I remember rightly, it was the January we had the talk.
Yeah.
And then we moved in March.
The talk. This makes it sound like you were pregnant. That's like the talk. There's no child. Just to clarify. Where would you have hidden it?
Where would you have hidden it?
I live in the house that we were in. Unless it's just in a cupboard somewhere. A few months down the line, I was like, so this is what happened. Got enough point. Yeah, I don't know. I think the years post-uni, I feel like we're more productive than actual being at uni. For just in terms of personality, I think.
Yeah. The whole thing was just branching out there, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. I kind of wonder if, because we knew people who were together in uni, left uni together, stayed together, if there's a negative effect to them doing that, considering how much we developed during uni and then developed after uni, whether they have that opportunity.
Depends on people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Totally depends on personality.
I know as soon as they add a child as well, that kind of adds another layer of you don't have time to develop or do things because you suddenly have this responsibility.
Depends what you count as developing. A lot of people will count having the child as they're growing up.
Weird people.
It's all process, isn't it? It's all someone else's process.
It's a learning process, I guess.
Learn
not
just
to
life.
have children.
It's just life.
Yeah.
Different paths.
Different routes, all those kinds of things. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, maybe. I kind of, like, it's weird to see, like, at this point, because obviously we're essentially halfway through life.
Great.
You
may be.
Me, I'll die at 60. Definitely. I'm surprised I made it to 29.
You were always like, I'm going to live forever. I'm never going to die. Maybe that was just when you were drunk.
I had a great conversation with Matt.
Yeah.
Which was when I visited him in London, and he basically said that I'm a lot like a cockroach. Because we were discussing, so we were on about the probability of death.
The compliment to the Graham.
We were on about the probability of death, and we were saying that with our class size and with the classes you've had before, statistically, someone in your year group should have died by now.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people die, and people dying young, and the quantity of people, in theory, you should know someone you went to school with who's probably had a terminal illness or has died.
Right.
There is a likelihood of that, just because of percentiles.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, okay, so in terms of our age now, we're at an age where you can experience bigger health problems. And we were like, it's surprising we haven't heard about anything.
From someone we went
someone we went to uni with, or just someone in general.
Yeah.
And I was like, I always expected it to be me. I was expected to be the one who accidentally dies. And he said to me, he's like, no, Graham, you're like a cockroach. It's like, you'll drink, you'll smoke, and you'll just keep going.
And you'll always just turn up.
Yeah, you'll just be there. You'll just be full of coffee and bad decisions. And I was like, I don't have to take that as a compliment. Or...
Bad decisions.
I'm definitely full of bad decisions.
Yeah, I can picture that. I can see where he's coming from. You just bounce into a room doing your little hop. What's up, guys? And then you're there. All of a sudden, poof, cloud of smoke. There he is.
So the way you compare it is like you're a lot like Lemmy. you just keep existing.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah,
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, you're doing something right, so don't change it.
Maybe. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of looking at in terms of the future and whatnot, because it's like that thing of when you talk to your parents about like how you'll be in different situations, and they always say, "Oh, well, you'll change. Yeah. You get used to it." And you hear less of that as you get older.
Yes, you're right.
I can't see how I would develop from what I am.
Yeah.
Unless something huge happened.
Yeah, something
or
drastic.
Something tragic.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sat there going, well, I'm kind of a fully formed adult.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to grow anymore. My health's going to decline.
Good point.
But in terms of like my general personality, talking to people, interests, I could see my interest changing.
Oh yeah, that will continue.
But just in terms of how I conduct myself within society, I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I always remember being told when I was like 14, 15, because you'd had the conversation, I don't want kids, meh. And then it would always be the case of, no, that'll change, yeah, your opinion will change. Or marriage, for example. Yeah. My opinion on marriage hasn't changed. No. And it was always a case of, oh, you'll meet someone and it'll just be fine, and then you'll be off, you'll be happy, and you'll do it, and it'll be fine. And years later, I'm like, no. Still a no. Still a no. The kids' thing's changed. Yeah, I think you were a lot less. I was going to say a lot less child friendly when I met you, because you still like children, because you'd had Michael. Yeah, we had kids in the family. Yeah, you're not like me who actively avoids children because you don't know how to handle them.
I don't know what to do with them.
Well, how do you talk to them? Yeah. What do you do with it? How do you hold it?
That's exactly me. What do you do with it?
What does it do?
It still weirds me out. I don't know how to talk to children.
They will talk to you.
That's the worrying bit.
You don't actually have to do that much.
In an adult conversation, there is a back and forth.
Yeah.
You know when to time things. You can control the pace of the conversation. Even now, right? I'm saying things and I'm leaving gaps. Okay. That's controlling the pace of the conversation. That doesn't work with a child.
No, not always, no.
Also, they don't know anything.
I remember having this discussion with you years ago. You don't like the idea that it's basically a blank canvas.
It is.
And you have to fill this thing with information because that's a lot of pressure on you, and you're like,
but also,
where do you start? How does it not know anything?
Well, most of my conversation is based off anecdote and concept. Children don't know anecdote and concept. I can't reference TV and film to a 6-year-old.
No. You can't even show them the programme in most cases.
You've had this exact conversation.
I remember you being like, I think we were talking about instinct, and you're like, it doesn't do anything, it just cries.
It doesn't know how to live.
It needs to be fed, it's totally dependent on you. And it was like, yeah, that's a newborn, it's quite normal.
That's not normal, though.
Mm-hmm. And then you were, I think, spoke about
that look animals. I've heard this too many times.
Yeah. About how animals, they're born, they're on the feet, they're fed, they're off.
They go do something.
Yeah. Within like
human babies don't.
No.
They just lay there and die.
Not well. That's where you have to feed them and change them and okay. Yeah. Talk to them and.
I don't know how to
teach them how to talk. Yeah.
Can you imagine me teaching a child how to talk?
No.
Exactly. Exactly. If you want to, we were talking about personality development. If you want a stunted personality development of a child,
Give you a child.
Give me a child. Like, okay, great. What do you teach you? You teach you how to read, the difference between good and bad. And it's like, no, I taught it how to be cynical, and that it's probably going to die by the age of 12. And then it cried for an hour.
I know what you can do. Just watch the Muppets together.
Yeah. But then they're going to have questions about the Muppets. Granted, I could answer questions about them.
Exactly. There you go.
But they don't know what Muppets are.
We'll teach them.
Some children are scared of Muppets.
Well, you were scared of...
Not Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
Never of Muppets.
Well, you didn't like puppets.
I didn't like costumes.
Yeah, mascots and stuff.
I didn't
Anything
like
with a big
people
head.
in giant costumes.
Yeah.
I'm still not okay with people in giant costumes. I can be around them, but I don't
You don't
them.
like it.
I feel like that's a genuinely rational thing, though. You don't know who is in a costume.
Oh, right, you're talking about that. I thought you meant like the dead eyes.
Oh, no, I don't mind the dead eyes. I think it's weird. Like, so my first experience of it was that giant Bart Simpson, which I've told you about, when it was like a children's birthday party. They brought out a guy who was a full-grown adult, someone's dad, dressed as Bart Simpson. But it wasn't like face paint Bart Simpson. It was
like a foam.
This was like, plastic, like early 90s giant plastic head Bart Simpson. How is that not terrifying?
Just like towering over you.
You're seeing someone who's meant to be a child as a full-blown adult.
Yeah, kind of monstrous to a 6-year-old or whoever.
So then every person I saw in costumes, bears, birds, you name it, I used to avoid. I used to cry. Mum used to have to take different streets because I would not. If there was a mascot in town, I would not be there. She'd take me down other alleyways because I'm like, I'm not going there. I remember being at a theme park. They had like their mascot guy. Yeah. Clowns I was fine with. Because I can see their faces.
Yeah. Even though they're not painted humanly, you were still okay with it.
Yeah, but it's not a human face. It's still a face.
Right, okay. Just as long as it's not oversized, it's fine.
It's oversized faces. That's where the problem.
It's so unnatural.
This is why I'm weirded out by babies. They haven't got the right proportions.
Oh, you brought it full circle.
It all fits together.
I can't imagine you handing you a baby and being like, here you go.
I feel like I'd be very much like, do you remember that scene from, see again, I'm just going to reference things. You remember the scene from Friends where Rachel gets given a baby and she holds it like a football?
Yeah.
And Ross is like, oh, hold it, cradle it like a football. And she's like, this is how I hold a football. Just holds it straight in front of her. Ow. But then it's the same as like me picking up animals. Because I'm big.
Yeah.
As a person.
You don't like the thought of maybe...
I don't like the idea of crushing their rib cages.
Like cats.
Yeah.
You can't really pick up cats,
I can't pick up a cat.
You? Yeah.
We've seen this.
Yeah. I had to get one out of the house a few years ago, if you remember.
I let a cat do whatever it wants.
Well, they do what they want anyway.
Yeah. That also annoys me.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Cats. Babies. Taxes.
Mascots.
I've passed 30 and I've already gone full old man. Again, I don't see how I can develop past this. All this is just like, I'm going to get to 70 or 80 and I feel like this is just going to get worse.
You just be a bit more
We've had this conversation of my forgetfulness.
Yeah, your memory is awful. Your short-term memory is bad, but you remember really specific things from years ago. Oh, I don't know.
Give me a context situation and I'll probably remember something.
Yeah, there'll be something I'll have to link it to for you to remember, and it'll be like, we watched this, we did this, and you'll be like, yep, got it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see points like that. If I think back from our history, I don't remember full conversations or events. Like, if you asked me to remember a certain birthday, I can't remember.
Like a party or something?
Yeah, I probably can't remember that event, but I will remember parts from that event. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So, like a location, and we spoke about something.
Yeah.
Something came up. Yeah.
Yeah, like so. Like if I see. This is the thing. Like I don't know if other people's memories work like this. Like if I give you some context.
Go on.
So if I think of parties right now and think of uni and think of everything like that, I think of being in Matt Brodigan's kitchen at his house on West Parade and playing with fridge magnets.
Okay.
I don't even remember what that party was, but I remember our friend Anthony being there, and Charlie, and having a discussion about pesto, because I couldn't understand why there was so much pesto in Matt's fridge, and he'd eaten pesto with pasta before the party.
Is that when you the kitchen, someone was mopping up in the kitchen?
Yes.
When we got there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And that's how my brain works. It's like I've remembered like all those details, which I can then craft into an actual thing, but I don't remember why we were there,
No,
context,
you're right. I can't
anything
either,
like that.
Actually, no. It was late on in uni. I think it was
Yeah.
second or third year. Probably third year.
Could have even been post-uni.
Oh God, I don't know.
Because I feel like I remember we were there out of context of just we were editing end of year show or something like that, and I feel like that's how I form memories. So my entire life is made of those little tiny snapshots. I think because I got talking to someone about it the other day of like why. Obviously, me and you take a lot of photographs, but I don't know if we take photographs for the same reasons. I take photographs to remind me of places because I know I will forget them, which is why I photograph mundane things as well.
Is it that you want to remember the trip, or?
Well, I use it to connect to the experience.
Right.
So with a photograph, I can look at an old photograph and put myself into that experience, because without that photograph, I might have forgotten it. And there'll be like situations where I'll have like a really mundane photograph or something just silly, and I'll look at it and go, and my brain will instantly just take me back to that.
Is that
and
that
it'll
you
fill in all the
want to
blanks.
remember how you felt at that time, why you were taking the picture, why you were there?
Yeah, a lot of that.
What you were doing.
And it basically helps me fill in the blanks of memory, which I feel like a lot of other people wouldn't need that because they just remember it. They remember those experiences as positive experiences. Whereas because I don't necessarily connect experience to emotion in the same way other people do, because me, that's why I take those photographs. But I don't know if that's why you take photographs.
I can see where you're coming from. That is not the only reason I take photographs, but yes, I have in the past. I want to remember this, so I'll take the photograph. I don't think I have just one answer for that.
No.
There's not just one thing. This is why I take photographs. It's many.
Because
Many.
It's like one of those strange things. Whilst we were in uni and whilst we were out of uni, we took photographs with the intention of making it into work, didn't we? We had some idea of making it an art form, and we wanted to be photographers and artists and all this kind of stuff.
Somewhere along the line it came more habit for me anyway.
Whereas, that now it's just like it's a thing we do.
It's normal. I always have a camera in my bag.
Yeah.
You do as well.
And we kept it going, whereas some people didn't. They just stopped. They left the course, didn't end up doing anything with it, and then no longer take photographs.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Everyone does their own thing. It's not like, it's not like we're running galleries with our own work in it.
No. But I think this is the thing. I think this was like a thought I was having the other day when I was planning my trip to Canada, and I was buying film, and I'm sat thinking, well, I'm taking a digital camera with me, so I can take photographs in the standard way that any person would, and people do take holiday snaps. But in terms of what I'm photographing and why I'm photographing and why I still feel the need to take photographs, like if I hadn't taken my camera with me, I feel like I would have had a less memorable, enjoyable trip.
I think a lot of people see it as I don't want the responsibility of capturing the moment. I just want to enjoy it. And I understand that as well. That I'd rather not be worrying about film or my camera battery. I just want to enjoy it while we're here. I like that, but I also like to be able to look back on things like this and go,
yeah,
nice.
I think I was saying to Zach, I like reminding myself that I can do it.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, because it's not our everyday now.
Exactly. I would look back on something like that and be like, I'm going to plan another trip, or we're going here next, I want to do this.
Yeah.
We've done this, now's the next path. I think that's part of it as well.
I do think of it in terms of like a long term. When you think about being like 70, 80, and you think of old people you've met who have smaller hobbies, and I often wonder whether those are things which they brought back from being our age, like whether that was theirs, like they were continuing something, like like we've had a lot of experiences where we've met older photographers who come see work, and then they talk to you about their work, and they're usually very technical people. Like, you find that a lot of them are real camera people. It's like train watchers, but for cameras. And we're not at all.
No.
And I wonder if that's what it develops into.
You think?
Whereas they had an interest way back when, and because they've pursued that interest gradually over time, they've just developed that knowledge.
Do you not think it's more to do with professionalism now? I think it's more to do with if it carries on as an interest, you might go one way or another. You might carry on. I've used this camera for years. It's fine. I don't care about brand. I'm not materialistic. This is good. This is what I like. Or you'll be like, ooh, this new lens has come out. I need to get this for my camera. I need to upgrade it, blah, blah, blah. I think that will happen more so in a professional environment. If you were doing our hobby as a job, you'd have to keep on top of the game in terms of technology to be taken seriously, I think. A little bit different for me just carrying around a camera in my bag for when I see something and go, sweet. I'm not going to upgrade my camera. I like it.
Do you think, I mean, to kind of round it to a point, do you think then after a certain age, your personality stops developing, but your interests continue?
I don't know. I'd like to think that things would still develop, because I have hopes for myself personally. I would still like to see myself as a more confident person. But I'm nearly 30 and I'm not how I expected myself to be. On the other hand, I don't care. I've come this far. I feel good. I'm alright. So it's give and take. I think things that will happen to you might change your personality. Interests will never stop developing. I think there will always be growth in terms of what you find and knowledge and everything else that will keep going forever. But in terms of personality, I wouldn't want to stagnate either. Some people, I guess, would be fine with staying with how they are, and that's okay as well.
Is it though?
Yes, it's fine. It's perfectly
That's
fine.
what we're questioning. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I personally feel like there is still room for improvement, but I feel like after a certain age, you have to make an exerted effort to change. It's not something which changes over.
What do you mean?
Naturally. So like you're saying with confidence, at the stage you are, or anybody is, once you kind of reach our age, you're in a situation where you know how to get through life with the level you
good
have.
point. Yeah, okay.
Whereas if you want to change and you like, want to do self-improvement, you will have to make an exerted effort to do that. Because if you don't, you've already built a world where you can exist how you exist.
That's true.
So you could keep going like that. And then that would be your personality for however long until experience changes you, per se, because that's usually what changes people. In the same way of, like, if you want to learn something or expand your horizon, unless you do that
You have
from
to
a
take
point.
yourself out of the situation.
Whereas prior to this age, we've been in systems and groups and settings which have all just required us to change and adapt.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now you have to take yourself out of the situation if you want to make it any different for yourself.
But then I don't know if you, as you get older and older, because I feel like confidence when you get older and older comes naturally anyway. Because you get to a point of where you don't care.
There's that, yes, you will get to a point where you won't care, which I can't wait for.
That's what every millennial is aiming for right now. Just like, so it's like, yeah, to be 50 and just not care.
I also think that situations will provide that as well. You'll get to a point where you've been through that much, and it won't even probably feel like that much. It will just be like when you've had enough of a certain situation where you're just like, right, yeah, I'm done now. It's not a big deal anymore. Yeah. And then it's not a big deal anymore, and that's great. That feeling's fantastic.
That letting go feeling.
Yes. Didn't have that when I was 18, 19. I have it now. Not to the extent that I want it, obviously. But,
not to the full level of I do now.
No, I'm not a full adult yet. Not until I can fully not give a fuck about anything.
I feel like...
Right now I still care to an extent.
I mean, I feel like based off my personality currently and how I see myself, I think if I got to the point of I don't care, I feel like that's more detrimental to me.
Yes.
Whereas other people
like me, it just means I'm not overly stressing, I'm not overly worrying.
It removes anxiety for you.
Yeah, precisely. For you, me, it's dangerous. Whereas for you, the world's about to burn.
I don't know what picture we're like painting. No, I feel like for those who experience like high anxiety and pressure and all that kind of stuff,
it's a relief.
That's the stuff which I kind of let wash off me. The pressures I exert on myself, or what I exert on myself. As soon as I get to that point of I do not care and there is no barrier, either I'll die, or someone due to me just not caring anymore.
Yeah, so someone like me saying, right, yeah, I'm done is a little bit different to you're done. Done with this life.
It makes you wonder about like all this Facebook push, you see? Like where people are like, no, I quit, I'm done. And you're seeing people trying to force that feeling.
Give me an example.
Like trying to kickstart. You know, like where you get someone who's in a really stressed situation and they'll be going through a lot of stuff and they'll go, you know what, fuck it, no, I'm done. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. I'm going to walk away from it. It's essentially people trying to embrace that full confidence. And they're cutting things off to make their lives easier. Yeah. But they're never quite there because they're still posting about it.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Whereas when you get to a point of full, I do not give a shit,
then you absolutely, you wouldn't even think about it. You wouldn't do anything. It's totally out of your head.
Delete everything. Yeah. And then you'd walk away. And your life would continue because you'd be happy whatever you kind of left within your life. You wouldn't
give it a second thought.
Yeah, you wouldn't give it a second thought. And whereas like you see a lot of people who are trying to kickstart that feeling, and I don't feel you can kickstart that feeling.
No, you can't get away from it. If you post anything like that on Facebook or whatever, you're going to get people going like, what is it? And then you're going to obviously end up talking about it, bringing back up those feelings. You're not fully letting it go.
Yeah.
That's social media for you, though, isn't it?
I feel like it'd be so much fun just to disappear.
Fun for you.
You ever think about that?
Not for your mum. I can't imagine it being very fun for your family.
I feel like Mum she'd get it. She'd understand.
Your dad would get it.
She'd get it.
I think your mum would be.
I feel like they've known me long enough that they'd be annoyed. They'd be so annoyed. But if I did it, it'd be so fun.
I'd expect a postcard from you in about 6 years.
Yeah.
Not to give any inclination of anywhere you are. It'll just be like a handprint.
It wouldn't even be like a handprint. It would be like some inside joke we'd made 20 years ago.
And I'd be like...
You'd be start looking at a postcard of a pigeon like, why has someone sent me a pigeon?
Oh, it's vaguely remember.
And then you'd be like, oh yeah, in first year he texted me about pigeons. Why did he text me about pigeons?
What was that?
I remember texting you about pigeons.
Yeah, I know you did, but I
still can't remember why.
Yeah, I remember the
text. I was just trying to get your attention.
And I was just like, why do I want to know about the pigeon?
I was trying to be edgy. Talking about pigeons. I don't know. I can't
remember.
I don't comprehend what I do at half the times.
Oh, that's a good start.
Do you?
I don't try.
You spent 5 years with me.
I don't try anymore.
If you, as a person who spent 5 consistent years with me, 3 years prior, don't know what I'm doing, how am I ever expected to?
Do you want to?
I don't know.
There you go.
This is what stops me going to a therapist. I don't really want to know what I am. Maybe I'm just a baby and that's why I hate myself.
You're just a baby. You're just a big hairy baby. You're like, what do I feed this?
That is true. I mean, the problems I have with children are the problems I have with myself. I don't understand me. I find it weird that I don't know things. I can't carry myself. And if I'm left to my own devices, I'll probably just die. Yeah. See, this is what you've been missing.
Yeah.
It's fun. I don't know. I feel like we've still got a ways to go.
I think we should come back to this podcast in 10 years and be like, what the fuck? I'm going to be watching me and being like,
okay.
you young idiot.
Hang on. 10 years is a bit much, because then I have to keep the podcast going for 10 years.
Oh, 2 then. Alright, fine.
Yeah. We'll take a couple of years.
Yeah, fine.
You know, we got some plans going on in a couple
If
of years.
I'm pregnant, you can't be making fun of me for being fat.
I'm definitely going to make fun of you for being fat when you're pregnant.
No.
Why?
Because I said so.
You can't use the pregnancy excuse. I've never made fun of anyone for being fat.
Yes, you... Oh, you're such a liar.
I don't know.
You will.
I'll be making too many jokes about there just being like a weird living thing inside of you.
Yeah, I'm expecting that. I'm expecting the parasite jokes. I can handle those. I don't want fat jokes.
As soon as I find out you're pregnant, you're getting an alien meme.
Fine.
It's like,
yeah.
There's no way around that.
That's expected.
Yeah.
I've requested no fat jokes.
No fat jokes.
You're thinking about several now, aren't you?
No promises. I'll develop as a person in those 2 years, not to tell those.
Fuck off.
But no, we'll come back in 2 years. We'll rewatch this in 2 years and then do a follow-up podcast.
Yeah, it's just going to be me sat there going, ugh, what did you say that for? You're an idiot.
No, that'll be next week.
That'll be when this podcast goes up in 2020.
2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
So
cool.
even 2 months, it'll still be a bit like, ugh. I think you always have that element of self-loathing, though, when you watch yourself do anything. I do, anyway.
I've had to get used to that.
You definitely would have had to get used to that. Just embrace it.
But at the same time, when I watch my podcast, I don't watch me.
Do you know?
I look at the guest.
Yeah.
And then when I do the solo ones, I don't edit it. I just
really?
I cut off the end and the start, and then I just throw it together and I don't watch it back.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Mainly because I've forgotten what I've said halfway through, so I don't want to have to go back for that.
You don't want to hear your own voice.
I listen to the thoughts inside my head. All I'm doing is just putting them out there.
Mic. Do you find that your voice is different to how you think you sound? It's going to be weird for me listening to this. I've got a cold right now.
You do.
So that's going to be a bit weird.
I don't know, I find my voice is weird anyway, because I think my voice is much higher than it actually is.
Yes, I know what you mean. I've listened to myself before, probably from uni projects and stuff, with all my bad acting that you so nicely pointed out, that my voice is much deeper than I think it is.
Yeah. I think mine's quite nasally as well.
Yeah, you've told me this before. Your voice isn't nasally.
But then I also find in these podcasts, versus the ones where it's just me and a microphone, my voice changes as well. Because with this, I have to animate, move around.
Yeah, I was
going to
say you're a lot calmer.
It'd be weird if I was sat here like this for the entire podcast and we just did
that'd
this.
Be a little bit weird.
So when I speak, when it's just me talking into a microphone.
Yeah, you're much calmer.
So it's a lot calmer.
It was like when you did your YouTube videos as well. That's a hell of a lot more different. You've got a camera pointed at you right in front of you. You have to animate. You have to be a little bit exaggerated.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just boring. Yeah. So you do change it. It does alter.
Yeah.
Whether you want it to or not.
Yeah. It's that pressure coming in again, isn't it?
Which I think is a good point to end. Bring it out.
Yeah, let's go have another coffee.
Go for another coffee.
Yeah.
As we have for 10 years of coffee.
I never drunk that much coffee before I met you.
You didn't, and then you went through a weird phase where you stopped drinking coffee for a little bit, and you calmed down for a little bit.
Calm down.
Well, no, when you moved to Leeds, and you were like, "Oh, I'm not drinking as much coffee now," and you pulled back on the coffee situation.
Yeah. It was because wherever I've worked, I've always had the coffee friend.
Yeah.
So it would always be like every hour on the hour. Come on, let's go and get a coffee. Come on, let's go and get a coffee. I'll get this round. Blah, blah,
and when
blah.
you live with me, it is literally every hour.
It was literally yeah. Whereas the job I went to, I didn't have the coffee break as much, so I was just sort of like, all right, fine.
You can live without it.
I didn't mean to come away from it. It's not like when you say I'm coming off coffee for a bit and you have to go through the headaches and...
No, you mean like when I quit and I almost died?
Yes. That was an awful month for me.
I was about the month where I did it on my own. Well, I did a month with you though. Yeah.
Do you remember that time we tried to go vegetarian as well?
I've done that.
Yeah, I know. I'm still not over it.
A couple of times. This is the problem. I don't find challenge in things. I just do them.
Oh, everything's just fine. Nothing affects me.
I'm definitely not more confident than when I was a teenager, right? I'm still shy.
You can be.
It's one of my main personality traits.
It's just people.
Maybe that'll develop.
Probably not.
I think shyness just develops into reclusiveness. Confidence develops into ego. Yeah.
I think shyness can also develop into overconfidence.
Okay. Could you compensate for it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like with anxiety, you can be over the top when you're feeling anxious, opposed to what people would think you should be is really quiet and just sat in the corner.
But I don't think people.
Opposite.
I don't think people should. I guess the point I'd make to round this out would be I don't think people should worry about their personalities.
People shouldn't, but
No.
people do.
People do.
Especially when you're thrown into a new situation, like going to university, starting a new job, you're thrown into this situation with all these new people and you want to be the best person as soon as possible, straight away so everyone likes you.
But you can adapt it. It's not something which you have to have if there's a part of your personality where you're kind of worried about it. Unless you are desperate to keep that part of your personality, you can adapt and you can change.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but you can. It just takes a bit of self-work and time. Or a tragic situation.
Which is what we all need.
And on that point, we'll bring it to an end. Thank you for coming, Jeanine.
Later.